Hey everybody, this is Lace from Lace on Race. I shouldn't have to do this video the week that I am going to bury my mother, but here we are. I have had many virtual, metaphorical conversations with Bobby in the last 15 months over this. When she was alive, I told her what I thought was safe to tell her. Now that she is dead, though, I can be more pointed in the conversations that I have with the angel that is Bobby Watkins now. After all of this started earlier this afternoon and evening, I conjured her up. Not the Bobby that is in the here and now and who died almost exactly a month ago. Tomorrow will make exactly 1 month. We will be burying her on the 14th. But what I whimsically call, and what my leadership team whimsically calls, Taco Bell Bobby. That was the Bobby before the stroke in 1991. And those 4 golden years when we became true friends, not just mother and daughter. And she was salty and sometimes profane, but always brilliant and always uncompromising. I can be no less. When my mother was in comfort care, I guess it started in early February. So 2.5 months ago, I got embroiled with Daniel, where he basically said, how dare I talk about cherishing and succoring myself? How narcissistic that was. He made these charges while I was going every day to Paradise Valley Manor to honor and succor my mother. Sometimes she heard me, sometimes she didn't. Sometimes she knew I was there, sometimes she didn't. But I cherished her. I was not there when she actually died. I was making sandwiches for Welcome Saturday, which is Vista La Mesa's homeless outreach, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, blackberry jam and peanut butter, when I got the call from Vista La Mesa that she had passed. And I got on the phone and made sure my sisters knew, my dad already knew. And after I processed, because it took a little bit, I drove down there right when Dad was coming up. And so we went in together. We did the usual COVID things that they make you do. And the staff there was kind enough, because they knew me and my family. I came every day, to let us sit with her. And I stood off in the corner as my father said his goodbyes to his wife in typical curmudgeon fashion. Jan, she gone. Yeah, Dad, she is. But I have some things I want to say. You do that, Daddy. You do that. Bob, which is what he called her, not Bobby, always Bob. It's time for you to go. I don't like it. Too soon. But I loved you. I loved you hard. I'm sitting over there trying my best not to cry. And he held her hand And he didn't do it for very long. He didn't sit down. He stood over her. And he kissed her forehead. And he kissed both cheeks. He kissed her mouth. And then it was my turn. My incredible friend Delina had come earlier that week to give my mom a sponge bath and a massage with better stuff that you normally would get in a nursing home, even as good a nursing home as Paradise Valley Manor was and is. Fragrant oils. And so I used some of that to send my mother to the other side and to cherish her and to consecrate her. I took some of the olive oil, fragrant olive oil, and consecrated her to God. I oiled her hands and her neck and the throat. There was no more oxygen masks. There was nothing on her arms anymore. And I thought about the life that she had lived for 82 years. I thought about some would say, diminished life from 1991 to 2002. She never recovered from that stroke. Not really. And her decline was precipitous in the last 10 years, and really in the last 5, and definitely in the last year and a half, when we were all basically pre-gaming sitting Shiva for my mother. And I recited the Lord's Prayer, and I sang a favorite hymn of hers. And I forgot to say this, but I said it later on. Well done, good and faithful servant. And I sat with her. Her hands were still warm, and her eyes closed, and it looked like 20 years had been taken off of her face. And for a fleeting moment, I saw what we are going to call Taco Bell Bobby. The woman who I became great friends with. The woman who I joked with and bought shoes with and ate with and who gave me advice. Mom, it's really hard in the group home that I'm managing. Well, you just make sure you do your best. I will, Mama, I will. So I put Dad in his car. I'm a little worried about him because he doesn't drive at night. By that time, it was almost 7:30. Put him in the car, said a prayer that he was going to make it the 2 miles back to his house because we were really close to the nursing home. And then I had to figure out what I was going to do. And so I went to Taco Bell on Sweetwater Road in National City. That was where Bobby and I had our first, not just mother-daughter, but reaching into friends conversation. Oh, she told me so much. She told me about how hard it was in her early years with San Diego Unified. And when they finally figured out that she actually was competent, she knew what she was talking about, and that the kids loved her. They tried to take her out of Choyas Elementary, which was in a predominantly Latino and Black area, still is, and tried to put her in Claremont or Kensington or North Park. And she consistently said, no, this is where I'm supposed to be. That's true a lot of times, you know. When someone shows that they're better than dominant culture thinks they are, they try to pluck them out. They try to pluck them out. Mom knew where she was called. She was called to Choyas Elementary. First to gifted education, then to ESL and special ed. She was called to spend money at various educational stores, her own money, never got reimbursed, so that her kids could have the best, so that her kids could have better than San Diego Unified thought they should have. Later on, um, after I graduated from Choias, went to the same school, she moved to Perry Elementary in Paradise Hills, where she served enlisted Navy for the most part. The school was actually in Navy housing, and that's where she served. That's an example, y'all. That's legacy. I want to talk to you about legacy, and legacy that I don't deserve, because Daniel Werner said that I don't have the right to invoke Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's name out of my mouth because I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. Let's talk about this for a moment. Let's talk about the fact that he could not even honor my mother for an additional 4 days before I put her in the ground. That he had to lock and load today, using all the losing strategies: retaliation, needing to be right, contempt, unbridled self-expression, all the while telling me how badly I live out my own ethos and praxis. You will see it in the screenshots that we provided, because, y'all, my mama's dead. She's dead. The way Bobby Watkins will live is through me. And mama did not raise no shrinking violet. Mama raised me to call a thing a thing. I've been circumspect over the last 15 months since everything went down in February. It's all there. We've deleted nothing. While I was dealing with my mother's prolonged decline, I was also dealing with this. This has been some of the hardest 15 months of my life. Holly knew my mother was in and out of hospitals and nursing homes, back to the hospital, back to a boarding care, back to my dad's house, when she decided to do what she did last February. That day she chose to do what she did, it was assumed that my mother wasn't going to make it for a week. She lasted another 14 months. But that doesn't take away the idea of what people are willing to do in service to what? In service to what? I haven't heard from Holly since April. I'm going to be really careful how I say this next part, but when I was with Julie to take a breather from everything that was going on, Julie flew me out to Tulsa, and I got to have some face-to-face, eye-to-eye skin time with Julie. I remember we were driving around Tulsa, and we had gotten the news that something unfortunate had happened to Holly. And we were all in chat. And the only thing that we were thinking about, the only thing that we were thinking about, is how do we keep our promise to hold and succor Holly, despite everything. And we did. Our revenues had gone down to 50% of what they were. They've gone down since. You're welcome, Daniel. You can do your happy dance now. But we came through. In the same way that nobody thanked my mother sometimes when they stole her ideas or literally took her Coke from the teacher's lounge. I saw that. What is that? I didn't expect a thank you, and we didn't get one. What I got about a month later was we hadn't taken her out of one administrative chat, and she came with vitriol in my email and told me about myself, but she didn't mention what we had done. We treated her as a community partner, and we funded at that amount. Because we made a promise to her that we would hold her. That promise was not voided based upon her choices towards me and to the organization. That is what unilateralism looks like, y'all. These are the people who say I don't live out my ethos and my values and my praxis that I crafted myself. And that is definitely different from the world. Daniel said that again today, that I do not live out these things, that I am not the woman that I say I am, and that he's going to expose me. Expose me. If you live your life out loud and everything is public, what's there to expose? I am a fan of 0-calorie generic cola. I prefer the Coke zero sugar, but it was almost $3, and I can't do that. So I went with the $1.39 generic from Vons. It tastes almost the same. I've already been outed, if you can call it that. I've already been outed as a Christian, this cult leader. That's something that my mother would actually, at least about 30 years ago, would have actually kind of gone, well, about 30 years ago, in 1993, I moved denominations. I had been going to a Wesleyan Methodist church for 15 years, from junior high school up until the time I was about 30. But I never transferred my membership from Missionary Baptist. And so when I transferred my membership to a Mennonite church, because their theology resonated with me, simplicity, pacifism, community. It's embedded in here, y'all, too. She seethed for a while. And then finally we were in the kitchen and she just banged something down. And she said, "Why are you so anti-Baptist?" And I went, what? What? Why do you hate Baptists? You still a Christian? Mom, it's not anti-Baptist. It's Anabaptist. Rebaptizers. Actually, we do it twice. We're super Baptists. She took her a little while, took a couple of cups of coffee, a couple of pieces of cornbread, because, we eat when we fight. But she got it, period. I'll tell you one thing she never called me, though. She never called me a cult leader. She sometimes had problems with my theology, including my pacifism, as the daughter of a chief in the Navy. But she never doubted my commitment to not just scripture, but to tradition as well, and reason, and what God is telling me in the here and now. She didn't like that I was led to move denominations, but she didn't denigrate it, although it came back up recently. I am probably going to wind up doing the Masters of Divinity program at Anabaptist Mennonite Biblical Seminary. And I told her that. It was before she had gone into comfort care. And I remember we were in the garage together, just a rockin', and I told her that, and she just gave me this side eye. And the eye that worked, this one, there you are with being anti-Baptist again. What is it with you and Baptists? And then I had to tell her again. As Mom declined, she understood what she was told, but then she forgot she was told it, and you have to tell her again and again and again. But no, not a cult leader. When I was outed as a Christian, I was so worried. Oh my gosh, people who are secular or who are not Christian will probably have a problem. That hasn't been true. In Laison Faith, which we're going to resurrect, and I look so forward to it, it's not just going to be Protestant Christianity. It's also going to be LDS. It's going to be Buddhist. It's going to be Jewish. It's going to be Muslim. It's going to be indigenous religions from the Americas and from Africa. We're going to do it all. But I'm a cult leader. But then I think about what cult leader means, Daniel. When people call things a cult, it's definitely a pejorative these days, but it didn't actually used to be. It used to be that someone would say, I'm in a denomination, my next door neighbor is in a sect, and that weird guy across the street, he's in a cult. It's just a way to delegitimize someone's faith walk and a way to dehumanize the person. And here, because I do ask things of you, it's not just roll and scroll. And because I dare ask to be funded in this space, I'm an automatic cult leader. No, I'm not. And they know it. And you know it. I think they lock and load on me precisely because I am not. Let's go to the conversation from today. You'll see it all in the screenshots. It's really hard to deal with this onslaught on the daily, not just from Daniel Werner, but from everybody else. You would think that because I have nothing to say and that I'm just a terrible person, that they would just leave me alone and let me die in obscurity. But they also think that I take thousands and thousands and millions of dollars from unsuspecting people so that I can live out my nefarious aims. Well, we're not going to talk too much about the fact that, if I were an actual cult leader bilking people out of millions of dollars, I would not be drinking generic cola. They don't say anything about my method. They don't say anything about our North Star lessening and mitigating the harm endured by Black and brown people, perpetuated by white supremacy. And let me add something to that. That includes Bobby Watkins. That includes Madeline Foster. That includes Margaret Terrell. Those are friends of my mom's. It includes Aunt Kathy. And guess what? It includes me. How they can carve out one Black woman, even as they say that they honor other Black women, is beyond me. But they do. So we're going to have this conversation. Nothing will be deleted. Nothing will be truncated. No one will be banned. And we will do it out in the open. Not like the private messages that Daniel, or whoever Daniel actually is, it's a pseudonym because he's a coward. They're a coward. I don't know if it's a he or a she. Let's just go with gender neutral pronouns because they're a coward. And then diving into private messages and not using the real name or the real face. Because if you want to call a thing, you better damn well be authentic. This is so important. And it's important for you to hear. Daniel Werner and his friends aren't going away. They're just like malicious malware that is now embedded in my laptop and in my phone. They are not going away. And they are going to have a forum with which they can lay out all their accusations and their indictments and their denigration and their lack of respect. And they are going to do what happened in February, maybe with better words. Maybe. But they'll just drag in mud into the living room and into the orchard like they did before. And we're going to be here for it. We will answer every question, theirs and yours. We will show the screenshots of the conversation that he started a couple of months ago, and that he was gracious enough to put a pin in when my mom got super sick. And actually, I have to say, I thank them for that. You're going to get to see how we interacted with each other, how we engaged with each other. You're going to see their character and you're going to see mine. And let me tell you something. If if what you see with me resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, let me know. If what resonates with you is not only Daniel's position, but how he has lived out his vendetta, then this is not the space for you. Let me tell you something, y'all. Let me tell you something. I don't need 10,000 followers. I've never had 10,000 followers, even on my best day. There are people who click the like or subscribe and then they forgot they did it, or they are in the Coliseum waiting for me to fall, or they're bystanders. And by the way, I'm going to invoke Justice Brown Jackson on this, because there are a lot of parallels between my metaphorical Coliseum and what Ketanji Brown Jackson endured during her confirmation hearings. People calling her a pedophile. And no one, except for Cory Booker, standing up for her. The few people that called themselves standing up for her when it was their turn to speak, all Democrats, all said, basically, I applaud your resilience. I applaud your strength. Let me tell you something. Let's go back to succoring and cherishing and honoring and all these words that I used earlier today in my first video, and who I'm also using for a cohort of scientists. Admire, honor, hold dear, safeguard, defend. There are others, but you get the drift. She was none of those things, period. And let me tell you what that means for Justice Jackson. The same people that called her a pedophile, that questioned her record, questioned her intellect, are going to be the ones that are going to be on the cocktail party circuit applauding her. The same people who couldn't bring themselves to say anything substantive other than to congratulate her on how well she takes a punch. Well, not a lot of love for them either. I mean, come on now. I think it is important. I think it's important that this is happening during my tradition's Holy Week. As we walk through and eventually get to the crucifixion on Good Friday, the day after my mother's memorial service and burial, as we head into Easter, as we think about Ramadan, as we think about Passover. Natalia, you don't get to celebrate at the resurrection if you are not willing to walk in the crucible of the crucifixion. And 15 months ago, very few people did. Very few people did. And that could be seen as absolute proof that I have nothing to say, and what I have to say is cult-like and cultish. But I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I mean, come on. If anything, I am a progressive Bible thumper who uses her faith as a template for how she lives her life in the world, and who uses her social justice mission as a lens through which she sees her faith and lives it out. So if you think that Christian Church Disciples of Christ, which is a mainline denomination, I should add, is part of a cult, and I, as a deacon in that denomination, they don't think so. Well, what do they know? If by cult leader, though, because let's go back to cult leader for a minute. Let's go back. Let's unpack it. Usually people are called cult leaders, and organizations are called cults when they are saying something that no one else has ever said in a way no one else has ever said it. Well, in that case, perhaps we do meet the criteria. We are new people doing new things in new ways. If the way racial justice has been done over the last, let's just say, 65 plus years since Brown v. Board in 1954, if that had worked, there would have been no need for the March on Washington in 1963, 10 years after I was born. There would have been no need for the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act of 64 and 65. There would have been no need for the Fair Housing Act in 1969. But there was. There would have been no need for the Black Spring of 2020, where every single white person basically bailed. Because let's be clear, we can blame some of this on the carpet bombing that was Holly and her friends. But almost every, in fact, every Black thinker and commentator are having the same issues. I mean, Holly is a convenient excuse for those of you who want to leave Lace on Race. But I would be okay with that if they had gone somewhere else. They didn't. Not for the most part. No. That didn't happen. And that's important to talk about and to think about. It really is easy to walk away from commitment and praxis and practice. And Holly made it really, really easy to do that here at Lace on Race. But if you're not pivoting and finding someone else to follow that's better than me, and there are a lot out there, I'm not the only game in town. I am not the best writer out there. I'm not the best speaker out there. I do have some things that are novel and innovative, and I'm grateful that people have wanted to hear what I've had to say, but by no means am I the only game in town. That is why we have community partners. People are doing excellent work out there. Excellent. And they should be funded. Absolutely. And we do it. I only can do that with your help. I only can fund the Mental and Emotional Health Fund with your help. Social justice takes money, y'all. And I've been so afraid of doing asks because Daniel Werner and company comes out and says, how dare you bilk these susceptible, non-agency filled, non-autonomous people from $5 or $10 or $20. He's also denigrated the endowment that we received in 2020 from the Sonis family. He invoked them too. Like he invoked Leonie, who has been an amazing advisor to me over these last 15 months, who has been someone who says, don't you dare give up. You keep your chin up. She does it in Messenger. There are days when I have wanted to just crawl into a corner and just die. And Leonie does not allow that. So I cannot. Leonie, in a lot of ways, is my mom without a lisp and an alive Bobby. This is a big deal, y'all. Daniel Werner is not going to go away. He's going to be in here. He is going to spray Agent Orange over everything we do. And if you feel that he is justified in doing that, and you feel that his response to me and my work is proportional, David, go to David. See what he can give you in the world of social and racial justice. If Daniel Werner and company are people worth following and heeding, if their message and their model is something you resonate with, there you go. Daniel Werner and company are happy to put their emails and websites down. I mean, heck, I'll even look at them. They're doing good work despite what they do to me. Hell, I may even fund it. I gave 4 figures to a woman who dragged me through the mud not 2 months before. I have given money to content creators and commentators who won't give me the time of day, but who I feel are doing good work. So I give them money. And even though they're either silent or they agree with Daniel, none of them, and not even Holly, has ever given it back. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing because I'm called. And if it turns out that I have to work at the Hamburger Shack in East Lemon Grove, or as Daniel reminded me, I talk about Del Taco a lot. I went there on Thursday because it's 3 chicken taco days for $2.25. They haven't raised the price yet, but then they charge you $3.50 for French fries, so it balances out. But the point is, I'm still going to be doing this work, not because I wake up in the morning hoping that Daniel Werner is going to think better of me. I do it because I'm called. I'm doing it because my North Star, front and center, is why I wake up. We're going to post the screenshots from today's conversation down below this live, and then we're going to turn around and perhaps in the near future, but probably more likely after the memorial, because I've got a lot on my plate right now. Y'all, I haven't been able to mourn my mother. I've been succouring my father. I've been working here. I've been working with other people. I had a wonderful respite a week ago when I saw Vicky and her family, but for the most part, I wake up with the knowledge that I don't have a mama. Even though sometimes she couldn't say much to me, she was there, and I knew that I could go and drink name brand Diet Pepsi, because it's Bobby, and watch KPBS with her, and have her fondle my fake hair and comment on my shoes, not always complimentary. She's never going to do that again. And while it's true that I have Taco Bell Bobby, because that's what I did. That's what I did, y'all. I went to the Taco Bell on Sweetwater Road, and there was a black empty chair, and it's way different than it was circa, 1987, 88. It was before she had the stroke, so I was like 23, 24. Way different configuration. But I sat close to where I remembered us talking the first time. And I had a soda because they were about to close, but they let me stay. And I talked to her and I said goodbye, but not really goodbye, because now Taco Bell Bobby was allowed to come to the front burner. I had always thought in these 30 years since Mom had the stroke that it would have been disrespectful and dishonoring of the afflicted woman that I engaged with to remember Taco Bell Bobby. But no, she is back in full effect. What I have been doing is I have been going to the places where I know she likes. And she likes chains. I would try to tell her about something awesome and local, and like, nope, if it wasn't Applebee's or Chili's or Marie Callender's, or there's no more Coco's. No more Coco's or Chili's. She did not want any part of it. She did not want to go to a local restaurant where she didn't know what she was going to get. That's fine. So I've been going to chains, having sit-downs with Bobby. But every Friday, I go back to that Taco Bell. I went this past Friday. I didn't go when I was up on the Central Coast, but I went to something that was kind of close. Sylvester's. They sell burgers. Mom and I had a burger. I'll go on Good Friday. I do this work because I am called. I do this work for every woman, past, present, and future. I do this work because I have not received permission to stop. Not from Leonie, not from my mama, not from God that I serve. One of the women who left the board after Holly did her business made me a necklace that said, "Charlatan cult leader." I've never worn it. I thanked her. Thought it was funky then. But maybe it is time to embrace it. I do say things no one else is saying. I do have a method that no one else uses. I do insist that I, as a proxy for other Black women, am cherished and honored and seen. That is not narcissism. We are coming up on the 2022 elections, and every single Black and brown woman currently in Congress is absolutely vulnerable. There are none of them in the Senate. They're all in the House. They're up for re-election every 2 years. And if you have not learned how to fund these women, because it comes down to money, just like racial and social justice, if you have not learned how to fund these women, welp, I haven't taught you well. If you did not email or call your senator and your House of Representatives calling out the treatment of Justice Brown Jackson, if you just tisk to yourself at the water cooler or to your spouse, but you let it play out, that is not cherishing or succoring. I may not be worth it, but she was. I asked Daniel Lerner, what did you do? Did you give money to Black and brown women in the House or in the state halls or in regional bodies or local? One of the reasons that we have community partners and that I harp on money, which is an economic construct, y'all, is that for so long white people like to think that basically racial justice can be funded with bubblegum and good intentions and us having a hat in hand, maybe asking for latte money. That is one way to ensure that racial justice never progresses beyond Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, because let me tell you, the metrics suck. I'm speaking to a group of scientists right now who are confronting that right now. I've dealt with other organizations who are confronting the fact that, our hair is better and we know how to do our eyebrows better than we did in 1954, but the metrics have not changed. The metrics need to change, and we need to do it together. Like I said before, and I'm about ready to close because this went longer than I thought, I don't need 10,000. I never had 10,000. I need a group of men and women who are willing to do the work using the method that I provided, willing to engage, willing to mix it up with me and to their fellow community members so they can then take it outside. I need a cohort of people who are willing to fund this space, because you're not just funding this space. Let me tell you a little secret. Guess who funds this space? I do. I also fund our studio space. We have lost a lot of funding. So this exorbitant salary, which is $48K, which is a third of what the average executive director makes, regardless of size, I actually make maybe 3/4 of that. The cult leader needs you. And if not me, then someone else. But here's what I don't need. I don't need 10,000 people not showing up, filling the coliseums, but not filling the field. I'm thinking about what Bobby Watkins would have said circa 1987, and I can't totally repeat what she'd probably say because this is a family channel. But what she would say is, you go with the people who are willing to walk with you, and then you keep it moving. You know who you are. I know who you are. Here's the thing that I said at the Taco Bell on Sweetwater Road in National City about an hour after I kissed my mama goodbye. On March 11th, 2022. It was a mantra that kept going on in my head as I drove the 10 minutes or so to the Taco Bell, but it came in full force as I was sitting there, abiding with Bobby. Pre-stroke Bobby, pre-aneurysm Bobby. Bobby of the auburn afro and the menthol Virginia Slims. Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done, good and faithful servant. Heaven better have Diet Pepsi. Period. And a couple of full sugar Pepsis, because now it don't matter. Give her all the sugar. That's all I want. That's all this cult leader wants. Listen, y'all. I'm gonna say this one thing and then I am gonna go because I'm so tired. So tired. A friend of mine who goes to church with me. They're a couple. They were a couple. Walter died on Friday. Totally unexpected. Massive heart attack. Not very much older than me. The community has rallied around her. The community has held her and succored her. As well they should. As well we should. If you cannot abide with the ethos of we take care of each other, we don't let anyone fall on hard concrete. If that resonates with you, walk with me. If it doesn't, walk with Daniel. If the character that I have shown over the last almost 5 years resonates with you, walk with me. We can abide, we can learn, we can mix it up. If it doesn't, if who Daniel is a model that you want to follow, bam! Don't stand stands. Of course we've lost people. Of course we've lost money. They've done a concerted effort over the last 15 months to make sure that is, and now they use it as an indictment. Well, it just proves our point. Aside from the fact that there's agency and autonomy for everyone who makes the choices that they make, Holly and Company wouldn't have been as successful as they were if there weren't people helping them be successful. You will do what you do. And be right here. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be abiding with people in and out of the Laison Ray Center for Racial Equity on Zoom. I'm going to be talking to organizations, both paid and pro bono, mostly pro bono. And if it turns out that the community will not support Laison Race, because for the last 15 months you haven't, if the endowment money that was supposed to be used for scholarships and fellowships, but is indeed paying my salary these days, because the community hasn't. If we wind up shutting our doors, we won't shut our doors. I'll just go work for Del Taco or the hamburger stand or clean toilet somewhere. I mean, I'm a middle-aged working-class woman with no credentials. No one's going to be offering me a CEO position anytime soon. The New York Times is not going to be offering me 8 column inches, nor will the Washington Post. But I'm going to keep doing what I do because I have to. Because I have got to move the needle, and I will, with or without you, but I hope it's with you. I love you all. This has been a tough talk, and there's more to come. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll answer them. Daniel and Company, if you have anything to say, comments are open for you too. Period. The screenshots are there from today. I will not live in fear. I did for 15 months. I have work to do, y'all. I have lots of work to do. That work does not include justifying either my life, my praxis, or my character. If you feel I have to do this, then this place is not for you. And hopefully, Daniel will have a nice charcuterie board for you to nosh on as you learn how he moves in the world. But if you want to learn about applied relational ethics, if you want to learn how to be less dangerous, not only for others, but also in your own personal life, whether or not you're black or brown or white or Asian or indigenous, then stay here. If you want to learn how to love effectively with Hesed heart, stay here. I love you, but don't be surprised. The malware that is Daniel Werner and his friends will continue to infect us. But the antidote for that is when we rally together as a community. We didn't do it 15 months ago, and we're seeing the effects of it now. It emboldened them. It emboldened Daniel. Are we going to do that again? Or are we going to rise as a community and be the people that we say we want to be?